What's going on, guys? It's Greg here. Just wanted to do a video on my SHTF knife, and I'm gonna tag a few people in this video, see what their SHTF knife is. For those of you guys don't know what SHTF means, that means shit hits the fan. So this is a knife that I would use in a worst case scenario if there's a economic collapse, total meltdown of order in society. It could be caused by anything, but this is basically in a worst case scenario, an apocalyptic type scenario, or whatever the situation is. It doesn't have to be apocalyptic. It could be a regional disaster, local disaster, anything where order in society is lost, and you're gonna have to survive on your own. You're gonna have to defend yourself from other people, from animals, and you're also gonna need a tool to acquire resources: food, water, shelter, combustible materials for fire. So this is the knife that I would choose for my SHTF knife, and this does all the things that I mentioned. This can defend me. Use this for self-defense. I could use it for hunting. I can use it for acquiring resources, for processing wood, for fire. It can basically do anything. So this is a Benchmade 119 Arvensis. I've done a review on this. There's actually a video of a more detailed review, but this is the knife right here. You can see the Benchmade logo right there. Benchmade. And this knife is the reason why I chose it is as you can see, it's got a nice thick blade that's almost 1/4 of an inch, and it's got that full tang. It goes all the way through, and then these are G10 handles, and it's got these nice little holes inside of the handle, which have multiple uses. Number one, I tied a little bit of paracord here as like a lanyard. But you can also use this to lash this onto a pole, and you can use this to make a spear, although I wouldn't recommend doing that, because if you lose your spear, you're going to lose your knife. You're better off just sharpening a spear and using that rather than throwing your knife, risking losing your knife. But I guess in a worst case scenario, you could tie this to the end of a stick or something, if you're getting hunted by a predator, like Arnold Schwarzenegger in the movie Predator, or if it's just a wild animal like a grizzly bear or something, and you need that extra blade. You could tie this to a piece of wood, and as soon as you thrust this into any living creature, it's probably gonna suffer massive bleeding. So this is a nice knife because it's a combination of a combat knife and also a survival knife. It's got a cutout here for your index finger. So if I need to do finer carving chores, like for example making a feather stick, or slicing pieces of wood to make some tinder, let's say if I have some fat wood, I can shave off some pieces of fat wood off the fat wood stick, or just some dry wood. If it's really wet outside, I can shave off some pieces of dry wood that I find laying above the ground and use that for tinder. So with this little cutout here, it just makes it a little bit easier to choke up on the knife and get more positive purchase on it. So this way I can do finer carving chores. This could also be used for butchering. If I have to butcher an animal that I harvested, this would be very good for butchering, to getting into different tight places, cutting the meat off the bone and stuff like that. But I like this because it's a combination. Like I said, it's a combination of combat knife and kind of has a little bushcrafting in there. It's got that nice thick blade. It's a 154 cm. Let me see if I can zoom in there. 154 cm, which is that's a higher grade steel. That's one of the higher. That's like the first level of the high grade steels. Once you get past like 440C, which at one time was considered a high grade steel, but the 154 cm is like the first line of high grade steels, and then after 154 cm is S30V. Those are the probably one of the two higher end steels out there. But 154 cm is a good stainless steel. This is a stainless steel 154 cm, but it also has a good amount of carbon in there, so it has a good balance of strength, edge retention, corrosion resistance. It's a good all around, all purpose knife. So I would 154 cm is definitely a great blade material for an SHTF knife. Just because, like I said, you get that corrosion resistance, plus you get the strength of like a higher carbon steel. You get good edge retention, so it's definitely a great steel, and it's also a little more affordable than some of the super high grade steels, but you're still getting a very above average knife material. So this knife cost me about $180 when I bought it, so it's definitely not cheap. And as you can see, it doesn't have any mileage on it at all, and I don't really plan on using it in the near future, just because your SHTF knife, you don't really want to be practicing with it too much, because you want it to be nice and fresh when you need it. You want the blade to be sharp and ready to go. You don't want to have any chips in it. You don't want to wear your knife out that you're going to need to use for SHTF. If I have other cheaper knives that are still very high quality, but I can replace those for 50 or 60 bucks. Many of the Ontario and Buck knives, for example, I can replace those much cheaper than one of these. If I wear this out, this is a $200 knife. Plus I want it to be ready to go when SHTF occurs. So my advice to you guys would be to either buy a duplicate version of your SHTF knife to practice with, or just use cheaper knives when you're out, just having a good time on the weekends, going for hikes or hunting, or you're just practicing your survival skills. Because your SHTF knife, you want it to be ready to go when you need it. You don't want to wear out your SHTF knife. And same thing with your SHTF gear, whether it's your backpack, your firearms, your boots, whatever, your clothing. You want to make sure that's fresh. You don't want to wear it out and beat it up. Obviously you want it to be a little bit broken in, and you want to be familiar with everything, but you don't want to wear things out unnecessarily. This knife is cool too. It's got these little cutouts here for your thumb, and my guess is this gives it in a more combat situation. If I need to use this in a thrusting motion like this provides a place where I can put my thumb, and it'll give me good leverage here. Or if I need to pry something, if I need to use this as a prying tool, God forbid, I'd never want to do that, but if I need to pry with something, if I need to, let's say, open a crate, pry a door open, I can use this to pry a door open. I can jam this in the door and then put my thumb here and then, pry it open. So it's a really good knife. It's got these stops here, so it's nice. It's, like I said, combination of combat and wilderness survival, bushcrafting type tool. It's got this hard metal, butt here, so I could use this as a striking tool too. A lot of people don't realize, but the back of your knife is a great striking tool for combat situations. Don't just only use the blade. Utilize all parts of your knife. And if you study Filipino martial arts, they use the back of the knife a lot, or the back of the sticks, actually. They call that the puño. And there's a lot of things you can do with it, a lot of different ways you can strike people with this. I can go right into the ribs, that'll create some pain. If I want to, make somebody compliant or something, I can punch them in the ribs, like with this metal here, that's going to hurt. Or if you want to use more lethal, damaging strikes in a life or death situation where you need to apply deadly force, the back of your knife, this solid steel here, this can do a lot of damage, But, again, that's a life or death situation where the use of deadly force is legal. So this is just a great all-around knife. And then also I have two sheaths here. I have this Kydex sheath that came with the knife. It's got a tech lock on the back. So I can just, slide this over my belt or on some webbing on my backpack, molly webbing or something, and just snap it in. I could also mount this with molly. And then I also have this custom sheath here, which I had made from a guy on Etsy. And here I got a pouch for a sharpening stone or sharpening tool. Right now I have a Lansky Blade Medic in here. So let me just pull that out for you guys so you can see. Lansky Blade Medic. Just got a little lanyard on here. Alternatively, I can also use this Fallkniven CC4. This is a ceramic stone. As you can see, I've used it quite a bit. It's got the medium grit ceramic on the back, and then the fine grit on the front. This is a good all-purpose sharpening tool for your knife, Fallkniven CC4. And then also the Lansky Blade Medic. This has the ceramics here, carbide, another ceramic, and then it's got this diamond serrated, sharpening serrated edges. Then in this pocket here, I just have a fire steel with a striker wrapped in some paracord. So if I need to, make a spark, I got this striker on eBay. It's got measurements on there for up to 5 centimeters, so I could use this for navigational purposes if I want to, you put this on my map, and I can obviously use this for the intended purpose, which is fire starting. Whoa. All right, so burn the table a little bit. This nice thick fire steel will give me thousands of fires from this one, and that's all together on the pouch with the knife. I have my fire steel, have my multi-purpose striker and bottle opener here with measurements on it for map reading. Got my sharpening tools here, and this sheath right here, I would anticipate using it more in like in a wilderness survival situation, or more general purpose survival where I don't need to deploy the knife that quickly in a defensive case. So this would be more for like general purpose. Let's say I'm trekking in the woods, or it's a survival situation where I don't really need to worry about somebody attacking me, and I don't need to utilize the blade in a combat type situation where I'm going to be defending my life in close quarters with it. In that situation, I would use the Kevlar. This one right here, I would use this one if I anticipate, just because it's much quicker to deploy. I'll show you guys how fast it is. Basically it's got this snap here, but I could even remove the snap and just have it just like this, and boom, it's ready to go. I don't really have to unsnap anything. I could just have this right on my belt, and somebody comes up to me with a bad attitude, and I need to defend my life, it's ready to go. I'm ready to go and ready to defend myself. So, or if there's an animal or whatever. So I highly recommend you guys get yourself a survival knife. Spend a lot of time thinking about it. Get yourself a good sheath. The sheath is important, because it helps you carry accessory tools. And like I said, this sheath right here with the fire steel and the sharpening tool, this is more for like a general purpose wilderness type knife. And this Kevlar is more of a tactical situation where I need to use this knife tactically if I'm defending myself, or I'm in a dangerous area where I expect to be deploying the knife quickly in a defensive case situation. So that's basically it, guys. I'm going to tag 3 people in this knife. In this video, I'm going to tag Uncle Al from Die Bullfrog 79 channel. I'm going to tag Mr. GAHP Jacketed Hollow Point, and I'm going to tag who else am I going to tag? I'm going to tag Alpha Charlie Concepts. See what he's got going on for his survival knife or SHTF blade. Alright guys, thanks for watching. Take care.